Alright, so you've now written your first bit of JavaScript, and this is, as I've mentioned, inline JavaScript, which is a very easy way to get it up and running, but not generally the way I'd recommend doing it. For exactly the same reasons we avoided inline CSS, it's just very messy. Just in the same way that we want to keep our style and our content different, we want to keep our logic or our code or our JavaScript different from our content as well. So the way we do that is very similar to how we put in our style. We just use script. There we go. And any JavaScript that we put in here will then be executed as soon as the page loads. Now that will work in itself, but it's considered correct to put the correct type just to make it really clear that this is JavaScript that we want the browser to execute. So very quick challenge for you then. Can you write a little bit of JavaScript here to pop up the page is loaded or something similar once you reload the page? Go for it. Did you manage it? The challenge was possibly you might have included the onClick command. And if you did, no worries. But the JavaScript itself is actually just the alert part, and then whatever text you want inside the quotes there. So that's it. That's all you needed. Let's just save that and refresh the page. So you can see I just did a refresh there. I didn't click the button, but that JavaScript was executed. A quick note about single and double quotes. I used single quotes here because we had double quotes around the edge and click attribute. So if I'd used double quotes in there, that would have got very confused because the system would have thought that this double quote was supposed to end this bit of text rather than start a new one. So if you want to have quotes within quotes, as we've got here, then you need to use double and single. But here, we don't have quotes within quotes, so you can use double or single. And double is slightly more conventionally correct these days, even though both will work exactly the same. Single is only really used when we have to use it. If we're just using some quotes, double quotes is the standard. While we're here as well, just like CSS, JavaScript has an optional semicolon at the end. You don't need it, but you can put it there, and that will enable you to put several different commands on one line if you want to. So I'd recommend getting into the habit of putting semicolons at the end of your lines, but it's up to you. One more thing I want to show you while we're here is the Chrome console, which is really handy for debugging your JavaScript. So let's go back to, I just right-clicked or control-clicked on the page and click Inspect, like you may have done a few times if you followed along the BBC CSS project with me. And then if we go over and click Console. So the console gives you two powerful tools. First off, you can actually write JavaScript straight into it. So alert, hello, is our one bit of JavaScript that we know. And then that then is actually run on that page itself. So that can be really handy if you want to check a particular command. But probably more usefully is it will show you if you've got errors in your JavaScript. So if I make a mistake and instead of alert I type ert, then first off, if I run the page, let's just get rid of the console. If I run the page, notice nothing happens. I don't get an error message or anything, just nothing happens. And that's what will happen. If there's an error in your script, you won't get an error message on the page itself. It just won't do anything. And that can be really frustrating. But if we have a look in the console, you can see we've got a lovely error message there. Ert is not defined. So we're trying to use a command that doesn't exist. So I have no doubt that while you're making pages and practicing with JavaScript, you'll make mistakes and you'll have errors in your code. And the Chrome console is a really good way to see what they are. It even tells you what line your error is at. So line 15, it takes you straight there, and then you should be able to see straight away, aha, yes, of course, I've just spelt that wrong. and then you run it again, your error disappears and your code works. So I'd recommend using that, and I'll definitely refer to it throughout the course as well. Notice that you can put your script code up in the head there, and in some situations that's a good idea, and we'll see some of those later on in this section. But generally, for the first section at least, we're going to be primarily putting our code at the end of the page like that. And that means that it will get executed as soon as the page is run, and which for most of these examples, that's what we want. All right, so enough introduction. Let's get started and start writing some real JavaScript.